Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I feel like I've been online all day today. Guys, I'm serious. I did that little 2-minute deal. You haven't watched it yet, you're gonna have to go do it. I pulled a tooth last night, like when I was supposed to be asleep. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a long story. But well, not a long story. It took like 2 minutes to tell the whole story. But anyway, you have to go watch that video. I was still laughing when I did it. But anyway, so then I did a live that wasn't scheduled. I just kind of put it in there and did it. And then I made a pre-recorded live that's going to play on Saturday while I can't be here, long enough to get it ready. So I'll just be here in the chat. But those are fun too because I can stay in the chat and talk to you guys the whole video instead of just at the end. So anyway, and then now I'm doing this one. So yeah, 4 times I've been on this camera today. Well, 3 times on this one on my phone, but yeah. So if y'all are sick of me, I promise. I started to say I'll only do 1 tomorrow, but I'm already scheduled to do 2, so get used to it. But anyway, today, y'all, we're going to talk about medically assisted death. And I know that that might seem like kind of a dark subject for some of you, but we're going to really talk about it we're going to stay light with it if that's possible. I'm not going to give like any big details or, any like examples or anything. We're just going to talk. And so, but we do have a trigger warning in case that is something that would bother you. Because I mean, absolutely understandable. And if you can't be here, then absolutely step away. That is always better. So, what sparked my interest actually in this conversation is it's just yeah, because I was supposed to be looking for lighthearted, like happier conversations, and today has been kind of dismal. But anyway, so what sparked my interest in this was I'm sure that you all know by now that Ozzy passed, and I was in some chats and stuff a day or two after he passed, and people were talking. Turn my audio up. See if this helps. Is that any better? So it probably got bumped a while ago. So anyway, so whenever he did you just say that was better? Okay, good. Thank you. Your face was far down. I couldn't see you. I forgot to move you back up where I could see you. So, okay, good. Anyway, so as you know, Ozzy passed, and I was in some chats on YouTube, just random chats. I go all over the place, right? And so I was kinda bouncing around a couple of days after he passed, and people were talking about him, of course, and the rumor was really going around pretty heavy that his death was medically supervised or, medically assisted. And they were even going as far as to say that he had went to Switzerland and that it was done there. But everything that I found, it kept saying that that wasn't true. It was just like that. No, it wasn't. And so I just want to clear that up right now. I haven't found anything that says that that was true. So, you know, and I'm not being for or against it. I'm just saying that if you hear those rumors, the family says it's not true. And I'm going to go with the family until or if they change any kind of, information. I'm going to stay with the family. I also heard, rumors that he died in the hospital, that he died in a hotel. There's all these rumors, but the family says he died peacefully in his home, surrounded by his family. And I'm gonna choose to believe that just because it sounds beautiful. And I know that it's so shocking because y'all, he had just done that concert where he raised $190 million for Parkinson's, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. And he has triggered other big fundraisers too. So what a way to go out, right? And I mean, literally just a few days after that concert where he literally sang, he was sitting down, but he sang, and I thought he looked pretty good. He passed peacefully at home. But anyway, so that is what brought me to this subject was, seeing um oh my goodness, Aaron got arrested just a bit ago. I'm gonna have to go watch that in a little bit. That's probably where everybody's at, is watching that. But anyway, I do wanna say that, again, I can't speak, I was not there, but nothing that I have found says that was the case. But it did bring up a lot of, thoughts and questions and everything for me. And I thought, I wonder what, you know, um, my mind just went blank. I wonder what, like, Mischief thinks about it. I wonder what, like, Evie thinks about it, or Jan, or, Rock It Out. I wonder what they think about it. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna do a live, and just what I want to do, y'all, is I want for the chat to really talk in this one. I'm gonna give you a little bit of information, not a whole lot, and then I really would like to know what your opinion is. Absolutely. Sai, I'd love to know yours too. I want to know everybody's opinion, so please. So, some people do, they see it as like a mercy kind of thing. Others see it as, it's morally complicated. I get both of those actually. Some people say it's out and out taking a life, that it's unaliving somebody. And whatever your thought process on it is very human and very personal. It's something that I guess if the subject comes up in your life, it's something that you have to really give some thought to with your own thoughts and your own beliefs and all that. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know where I feel on it. I was talking to Mark about it, and if you don't know, Mark is my husband, and he said that he was all for it. He said that, if he gets to a point to where he is clearly going to pass, that he doesn't wanna lay there and suffer, and he doesn't want to be a burden, and, he went all this stuff, and that he would be all for it. And I told him, I said, "God, I hope it's not me that has to, make that decision," but I was looking and it wouldn't be. Even if I'm still alive, it would be, it's not legal where we live, but let's pretend like it was. It would be something that he would discuss with his doctor, and you sign the papers and everything long before you get to the point that, that it's, that your mental clarity might become a problem. So, anyway, that was already more than I planned to say. So, I wanna open up this conversation, and I don't mean to preach because I don't have an opinion. I honestly don't know how I feel. I'm not gonna obviously try to persuade anybody because I don't have an opinion yet. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. And I'm definitely not going to be judging. And I don't want anybody in the chat to, to be doing any of that either. Let's just talk about it and just hear what other folks have to say about it. That's really what I wanted to do today. So, I do have some questions and y'all can be thinking about it. Um, So, have you ever thought about it for somebody that you love? Have you ever thought about it for yourself? Is it legal where you're at? Would you have to travel if you were going to do it? Would you have to travel? And do you think that we have the right to choose that? How and when we go, where we go, all that? Or is it a line that we shouldn't cross? And I really want us to talk kindly and openly and room for every side because I think that this could be a wonderful learning experience, and I love those kind of discussions. So, this medically assisted, you know, end of life or whatever is also called medical assistance in dying, or MAID or MAID. Physician assisted suicide, which is PAS, or voluntary euthanasia. And Mark did bring up the thought that we do euthanize our animals if they get to a point where they're suffering, and so, he looks at it like, if we're gonna be that kind to our animals, why can't we be that kind to our people? And my daughter Megan was the same way, and so I think I'm like the only one that's like sitting back thinking, I'm not for it, but I'm not against it. I honestly I don't know what I think. So, what does happen is a doctor either prescribes medicine that you would, take, that the patient would have, or they administer the medicine themselves. It's a lethal dose, and it has to be at the patient's request with signed documents far in advance of them and being in some kind of a mental state to where they're not, able. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's a long time before they pass, because some people, pass from things that happen and they know they're going to pass, but they don't lose their mental cognits. So anyway, so in favor of it, I've got 5 things that people say that they, when they're in favor of it. And the first one is autonomy. So, the right to control their own body, the right to control their own life and death, basically. And number 2 is relief from suffering, and especially when there is uncontrollable pain associated with a lot of terminal illnesses. I know that when my mom passed, especially those last, couple of weeks before she passed, she was just really in just unbearable pain, and we just, no matter what we did, it just seemed like we couldn't give her enough medicine to get her out of pain and for any length of time. And so I remember thinking that it would be so easy, not mentally easy, but physically, it would be so easy to overdose her and just let her go and stop hurting. But mentally, I couldn't get to it. I couldn't get to that place. And I know that there were times that she was asking me to do that, and I couldn't do it. And it's one of those things that I don't know if I'm ashamed that I couldn't do it for her, or glad that I don't know. I don't know. But it is, sometimes I feel like I failed her because I think that she was in so much pain that that's what she would have wanted. But anyway, number 3 is dignity in death, which, sometimes people want to pass on their own terms, wherever they want it, whenever they want it, how they want it. And so that's some of the things they say for it. Another one is that it reduces the burden, both emotional and financial, and that's mainly on the people left behind. But also there are people that don't have anybody to take care of them. And so they would just be in like a nursing home or some kind of a hospice center or something, and they just don't see that as dignified, and again, I know I'm listing the pros on it, but that doesn't mean that I'm pro the whole topic. Now, when I list the negatives, I'm not necessarily negative. I don't know. I honestly don't know where I'm at on it. But, the 5th one is they do say that it does prevent violent or traumatic self-unaliving, um, because a lot of people, they get so desperate, they're in so much pain, and they just or they know that it's coming, they know the indignity of it all is coming, and they can't handle it. So those are some of the or the positives. Now the arguments against it are the major ones are like moral and religious objections that it is absolutely viewed as taking a life. And others complain, and they worry that it's a slippery slope, that they worry that it could expand into non-terminal patients, that it could include people with mental illnesses, if they feel that they're a burden or they just give up, basically. The very vulnerable, a lot of like homeless people, and if they go into the hospital and they're in, maybe they're not terminal, but they're in a considerable amount of pain, or they've got some diseases or whatever. People are afraid that the vulnerable would choose that just because they're vulnerable. So, anyway, also number 3 is the risk of coercion, which they said that, everything I was reading was saying that the, pressure, it could be subtle or overt or even, unintentional, that people can kind of pressure others into doing it, and and the person will kind of fall for it to avoid becoming a burden. So, and a lot of that, they don't mean to pressure them. It says unintentional. And I believe that because, I don't know. I've known a lot of people that have been very sick and terminally ill. And I know that the pressure that they put on themselves to not be a burden is pretty strong. And so I believe that is absolutely possible. Um, the 4th one is errors in diagnosis or in prognoses. Doctors get diagnoses wrong all the time. It happens a lot. And people, like, sometimes they survive years and years pretty healthy past, their expiration date, basically. Isn't that awful? But it's how you feel whenever you have a terminal disease and they start talking about your life expectancy. I know how that feels. At one point, I was given 5 years. That was, 15 years ago. So, anyway, and some absolutely recover unexpectedly, and so, that's something to think about too. Also, mental health and consent questions, depression, trauma, hopelessness, it may impair some people's ability to give informed, rational consent, and so there's really concerns about that too. Now, I do want to show, I do have, I think, 4 slides. They're short. I'm gonna just show them. It's countries and states in the US where it is legal, and because I was wondering where all is this. I knew that it was legal in Switzerland, or I had heard that it was, but I was wondering where else is this legal, and it's really it's fairly it's fairly, widespread. So, yeah, it is legal in Canada. And is there we go. Oh, the 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 trophy was blocking the air from my menopause fan, y'all. We cannot have that, especially on these that I'm nervous about, right? So, anyway, in Canada, it is voluntary euthanasia and assisted suicide is allowed. It is federally legal Since 2016, recent expansions include mental illness, but it has some controversy attached to it. So I understand that. The Netherlands, euthanasia and assisted suicide, legal since 2002, includes terminal and non terminal suffering, including psychiatric conditions. Belgium, euthanasia is legal. It's legal for adults and minors with strict conditions, including psychiatric suffering, which I know that that seems so incredibly terrible because, we talk all the time about mental illness and how, that's it is not fixable so much, but it is treatable, right? But I also remember my best friend in high school that I've talked about before, who was the first time he ever smoked weed, the person thought that it was funny and put something in it, tainted it. And whatever it was, he had a horrible reaction to it, and he suffered for the next 3 years, having multiple, multiple, seizures a day, horrible, horrible dreams, vomiting all the time. He eventually took his own life. If ever there was a case that I would say that I could have done it, I could have, signed off on that, it would have been him. And that would have been a psychiatric suffering, but it was because of a drug that he didn't know he took. So, and the person was a family member of his, and nothing was done. And I cannot stand to see them now. The really bad part was that the wife was one of my bridesmaids in my wedding after this, but I didn't know that they had done that until after the wedding. I didn't know until a couple years. And so I which, we're divorced now, but I still enjoy our wedding pictures. We had a wonderful life together along with some terrible things. But when I look at our wedding pictures, there she is, and she knew about it, and it makes it ugly. I don't know. But anyway, Luxembourg, euthanasia and assisted suicide legal for adults with incurable conditions. Switzerland, assisted suicide legal since 1942. Doesn't require doctor participation. Often done in clinics. Wow. Wow. I don't think I read that before. I think I just kind of glanced over this stuff. So, Spain, euthanasia and assisted suicide legal since 2021 for serious, incurable illness or unbearable suffering. Portugal, euthanasia and assisted suicide legalized in 2023. Why do y'all want to bet I get demonetized, right? Anyway, it was yeah, Portugal is legal with medical oversight. Austria, assisted suicide legal since 2022 for terminal or seriously ill adults. And then we've got Germany. Assisted suicide has been decriminalized. Court ruled in 2020 that assisted suicide is a constitutional right. Law is evolving. Colombia, euthanasia legal under constitutional court ruling. Recent rulings also decriminalized assisted suicide. New Zealand, euthanasia legal since 2021. Seems like a lot between like 2020 and 2023, 25. I wonder if it had anything to do with COVID or anything. It's another word they don't like me to use, but anyway. So Colombia legal under constitutional ruling. Recent rulings also decriminalize assistance. Okay. New Zealand is euthanasia legal since 2021 under the End of Life Choice Act. Australia, euthanasia and assisted suicide legal in all 6 states as of 2023. Victoria, Western Australia, Tasmania, South Australia, Queensland, and New South Wales. France, legislation pending as of 2025. France is has been debating the right to die for terminally ill patients. Now, as for the US, um, it's not federally, you know, legalized yet, but we do have it in several states. California is an End of Life Option Act of 2016. You must request in writing and orally twice. Colorado End of Life Options Act allows lethal prescriptions. District of Columbia, DC Deaths with Dignity Act, it's modeled on Oregon's law. Hawaii, Our Care, Our Choice Act, 2019, requires 2 doctors and a waiting period. Maine, Death with Dignity Act includes 15-day waiting period. New Jersey, Aid in Dying for the Terminally Ill Act, patients must self-administer medications. New Mexico, Elizabeth Whitefield End of Life Options Act of 2021, simplified procedures. Oregon, Death with Dignity Act, first U.S. state to legislate influential model. It is an influential model. Vermont, patient choice and control at end of life, first to allow telemedicine access. Wow. You just do it over the telephone or the, computer or something. Um, Washington, Death with Dignity Act, second U.S. state to legislate. Montana, by court ruling in 2009, not legislated but allowed via court procedure. Exeter versus Montana. The key differences are euthanasia, a doctor directly administering a lethal substance, and assisted suicide, patient self administers medication prescribed by a doctor. So I did wonder, and y'all, I'm not going to get political about it, but I did wonder, and I figured y'all would too. So I just went ahead and looked it up. Um, if in the U.S. anyway, if the states that were for it, I was pretty sure that the states were all, pretty left leaning, and they are. Colorado is considered more purple, but they lean more towards the Democrat side, and then Montana is they lean red, they lean red, and they're more of a libertarian leaning kind of thing. So um, no conservative states are in on this, and I expected that. I mean, I would expect it. So anyway, again, not a political thing, but yeah, at the same time, it kind of is, right? So I was just curious, and I thought y'all might be curious too. So I got those. Now that's all the slides I have, and now I'm just gonna go. I see that Mischief did star some comments, and I wanna look at those, and then I'm just gonna see what comes up. So she'll continue starring. Please get in on this conversation. I'm extremely interested in what you've got to say. So let's see if Susie can hit the right buttons, would be really nice. Mayor says we have options in Canada, very strict guidelines. Yeah. Also, y'all, tell me what you think. Do you have an opinion on it that you want to share? Now, if you don't want to share your opinion, please don't. I'm not trying to force that. But if you have an opinion that you'd like to share, so, I would very much. Sai says, I offered my mom that I would travel with her if necessary. That's amazing. I think, like I said, I'm not for it, but I'm not against it. So I really don't, I don't know. I do think it's beautiful that you made the offer to your mom, to go with her. I think it's beautiful. Mayor says our mom had a stroke, knew it was a stroke, and refused the medication that would stop it. She chose. Yeah. So there are ways to make those choices besides this, but, you know, man. Hey, Mish. See, my grandma had bone cancer. Oh my God. She refused pain meds. When she got to hospice, they did in the back of my mind, I feel that she was overdosed. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I can't imagine. I had a friend that died from bone cancer, and she was in excruciating pain. That would probably be another case that I would maybe be like, "Yeah, I get it." I don't know. Um, my mom, she didn't have bone cancer, but that's where her pain was, and we don't really know why. I mean, we don't know why she had so much. It was in her spine, but there was no cancer, so we don't really understand why she had so much. I mean, even the doctors don't understand why she had so much. So, Linda Scott, good to see you. The only thing worse than watching someone you love die is watching someone you love in pain. Absolutely. Absolutely. I watching my mom, it haunts me. It truly haunts me. And, my biological dad, he died too, but his death was so peaceful and it was so much easier. But my mom's was, I mean, her death was beautiful, but the couple of weeks leading up to it, I mean, the day or 2 leading up to it was great. She was a hoot. She was, like, acting like her normal self. I mean, she was in bed, she couldn't get up, but she was laughing and cutting up, and I think every friend she had here showed up, and people would just come in. The house was, like, full, and everybody came and saw her, and she was like the belle of the ball, let me tell you. She liked attention. Not like attention whore kinda thing, but she liked to be the center of attention. And so she had a wonderful last 2 days or so, but before that, ugh, it was really weird because it was like that her pain kind of subsided that last couple of days. I don't know. I don't remember who we were talking about. You said that person should be in jail. You'll have to tell me. I don't know who it was. Oh boy. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Ben Bacon Bits, good to see you. He says, "Yes, I know someone who got drugs or got drugs induced, yeah, schizophrenia from smoking pot. He was an A-plus student. Now he wanders the streets talking to himself." Isn't that awful? I mean, my friend, his name was Brett, still hurts to think about him. I mean, everybody was like, "You and Brett are gonna get married," and I'm like, "Ugh, no, we are not." We were best friends, and I mean, it was crazy the amount of just love that we had for each other and just how much we were just best friends, and he was gorgeous, I will say that, he was gorgeous. It was nice to be his best friend because 'cause you're hanging around with this guy that's just absolutely gorgeous, but, he was so hilarious and just a good guy. He was a great student, he was, not a huge athlete, he was an athlete, but not huge, but yeah, just like that, Ben, just like that. Now he didn't wander the streets, he literally it was like, I mean, he didn't go insane, but he literally was going into just constant. I mean, like, one day he was fine, and then I mean, I saw him that day, and then the next day, it was, you know, constant seizures and vomiting and nightmares and just it was awful, and he did it for 2 years, a little over. It was awful, and it was somebody that supposedly loved him. Mm. Yeah, Jan says, "Was there something in the pot or was it just his reaction?" I don't know about Ben's case, he probably will answer, but, in our case, we know. We know what it was. I mean, they definitely put something in it, and they thought it was funny. So, Ben says, "Jersey unknown, it's speculated, but nobody knows. He was one of those kids who could pick up something or pick up most instruments and figure it out too. Now he can't do anything on disability as far as I know." That is just so sad. Jersey says, "I'm shocked that New Jersey jumped on that bandwagon." I know. I am too. I'm honestly shocked about some of them. Hey, Patty. Says, "Hi, Susie. I know I say this every time, but you are one of my favorite people." Aw. And yes, I am all for having the choice to end suffering. I absolutely understand that. And we've kind of talked about that a little bit. Um, it's awful. Pain is awful. Mary says, Jan, personally, I really think it should be up to the person, but with the doctor's feedback. I agree. I will say that I agree with that. Um, I think a lot of stuff should be up to the person and their doctor. And I understand that they have to legislate stuff because if not, it can get kind of willy nilly, right? And so I understand that. Sai says just knowing that she had the option helped her a lot. Never needed to travel, but she knew we would. I'm telling you, I'm going to say it. You get the trophy today. Whether we agree with it or not agree with it or whatever, the fact that you put your thoughts, whatever those are, aside and just thought of her is beautiful. It is beautiful. Y'all, my throat's a little sore. I think I have talked more today than I have talked in a week. I don't talk to myself when I'm here alone all day. Yeah. Jersey says that's a very tough call. I think it all depends on what the person who's ill wants. Not sure if I could do it. Depends on my relationship with them, I guess. I think that that's kind of where I'm at, Jan. I really am. I'm just like, and when Mark said it, I was just kind of like, "Oh my god. Is this something that I'm going to have to deal with?" And then I thought, not in Oklahoma, but knowing him, he would take his butt to somewhere else. I don't know. Probably Hawaii. Ben says, I think that the guy is on disability. I know his parents care for him. It's so sad. Jersey says, situations like that scare me. What is that person going to do when the parents aren't here anymore or they can't care for him anymore? I know. I get it. That is so, so scary. I worry about that a lot. I have, I know of people that they are dependent on their family to care for them for different things. I mean, from all the way from disabilities and everything to all kinds of disabilities. In fact, whenever I was talking to John and Amy Lazon about their daughter who has autism and she will have to have care forever. And she Amy was explaining to me that because they don't get any kind of help with that. So when she turns 18, she'll be like her own person. And so the reason that they're going to do that and have her be her own person and all this is because then when they're gone, she would be able to go into housing. Something about she has to be like declared an adult, all this stuff. And so they're going to do that is and with no plans to put her in that, but they know that eventually the likelihood that she's gonna outlive them is strong. And I know this isn't a secret, she was talking about it on the show, so I don't feel like I'm, telling tales out of order here, but, it would be so hard, all the ins and outs of all that. Hey, Carrie. Good to see you. Good to see you. Like you, Susie, my mother's death was a beautiful experience. I didn't realize at the time, but I do now. I was so fortunate to be there for her last breath. I was too. I was there for my mom's last breath. I was holding her hand. My brother was there. I'm the one that told, I looked back at the room full of people and told them when she had gone. They relied on me to know that. I'm not even sure how I knew it. You just know. You just know when they're gone because their breathing gets so shallow that you don't really just it's not like on TV where they're breathing and then they stop breathing. It's so shallow at the end that it's hard to tell, but it was beautiful. Mischief says, I like the idea of self-administered. The person pushes the button themselves. It does take the responsibility of it off of other people. I understand that too. I get it. Yeah, Mayor. It says, I feel like the alternative, self unaliving, is worse than doctor assisted in a peaceful setting. I do too. I agree there. I don't know. It's like, I guess that the more and more I think about it, I'm leaning more towards being for it. Just really hope I never have to make that decision. And, for somebody else, I think I could do it for myself. I think I could make that decision for me. But I wouldn't wanna be the one. I know it wouldn't be making the decision for someone else, but I would hate to be the one that had to administer it. So I would either want it to be that they could do it or the doctor could. I'm you know, but just the idea of, like, scheduling it and everything just completely, I don't know. Ugh, it's crazy. I can't remember the name of that movie that was about that, and Megan, if she's watching, she's probably screaming the name of the movie at me, and it was you know, such a good movie. So I'm just looking to see if I've missed anybody. I'm gonna scan up and see if anybody came in that I might have missed. Oops. I don't know what is wrong with. Well, I know what's wrong. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. I'm pushing in the middle of the mouse instead of on the mouse. Yeah, Jersey. Thank you, one and all. Don't forget to tap the like button on your way in. Absolutely, rocking it out for life. It's so good to see you. Feels like it's been a while. Just a quiet, peaceful dance. Good to see you too. Jersey, good to see you. Mischief, Mayor, Sigh. Okay, let's see here. Lori Driscoll, good to see you too. And I really do appreciate y'all talking about this so much. It's really something that I just thought that it would be interesting to talk about. Linda Scott, good to see you too. Yeah. Ben Bacon Bits. I know I've said stuff to y'all, but I'm just kind of going down through here and acknowledging that you're here. I do see I have another starred comment. I'm gonna go up and grab it real quick. Carrie, good to see you. That might be the one that I just didn't unstar. So, whoops. Well, if I'd hit the right button, it would help. Okay. So, Mayor says our mom had a DNR. Not really a huge difference. True. That is true. Yeah, my mom had that too. You have to if you go on hospice. Anyway, well, I really appreciate it, guys. And I think that's all I've got for tonight. Yeah, it is potentially a dark subject, but it's important to have open dialogue. I really agree with that. And I think that we can talk about hard things and get it out in the open. And, maybe somebody was sitting and thinking about it and they're like, I wonder if anybody else thinks about this stuff. And we just need to tell them, yeah, yeah, we all think about it. Is Mr. Mischief in here? Hey, Greg, if you're here. Love you. So, yeah, I love her husband. Mischief got her dragon snacks today. She oh, he's watching. So, yeah, whenever she came on to StreamYard, she was holding up her dragon snacks that I sent her. So, I was gonna tell all of y'all in Canada, I was gonna send you stuff, but my god, do you pay $16 for a bag of chips? Because whenever I would go on Amazon Canada to try to send my mods stuff, it was literally like 16 or to $20 for a bag of chips. So I'm gonna buy some stuff here and just ship it to you, and so it might take longer than it would on Amazon, but you'll get something eventually, I promise. So, and I'm gonna send some stuff to my mods that are here in the States too. I can send you all stuff with Amazon. So if my mods have not sent me your addresses yet, you need to get on that. So otherwise, Mischief gets all the treats. Okay. So I think she's okay with it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna go and I will be back tomorrow. I can't even remember right now what we're talking about tomorrow, but it can't be this dark, right? I don't know either. I'll look and figure it out. I know I've got it ready. I just don't remember what it is. So y'all have a great evening. I'm gonna go rest this voice. So I'll probably see y'all in the chats on other deals, or else I'll be watching Hallmark Christmas movies. It is still July, right? Yeah, for another couple of days. It's Christmas in July on Hallmark, so I've been watching Christmas movies all month. It's my guilty pleasure. So, anyway, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe